So welcome to yet another episode of the Web Marketing Show, and today I'm very excited. I've got Trent Dyrsmid. Is that how I pronounced your last name correctly?
It is, as a matter of fact, yeah.
I got it right. Trent, I'm very excited to have you here. Thanks for coming on. Trent is now you may be sitting at home or in your office and thinking, look, I watch these web marketing show videos. I know I've seen a lot of people that have transitioned to online marketing. Is it really for me? Because I've got a traditional brick and mortar business. I'm spending hundreds of thousands of dollars every month. But what I really want to do is just give it all away and get involved in this online marketing. It sounds like the ultimate dream. Well, Trent, that's why we've got you on the show today, because you've done exactly that. You've had your own successful brick and mortar type of business. You've paid the hundreds of thousands of dollars month in, month out. You've had the employees lining up week after week with their hand out, waiting for their paycheck, regardless of whether you're making money or not. And you've come to realise that your most valuable and important asset is your own time. You've given it all away, and you've become an internet marketing guy. So we're really excited to have you here, Trent. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Brent. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to correct you on one thing. I didn't give it away.
No, well,
I sold it.
So tell us about that. So tell us about where you've come from and where you are now and how you got there. Tell us about the journey.
Sure. So I'll try and condense this as quickly as I can. So I started off as a sales guy when I was an employee. And for most of my sales career, I sold financial investments for a big brokerage firm in Canada. So I learned how to sell. I learned how to work the phone, get appointments, meet people, and persuade. And those are really important skills for anybody to have. And then I sold in 2001. I left behind the shackles of being an employee and started my own business. And that company was called, or is called, Durand Systems, D-Y-R-A-N-D. And I started it in my apartment with another guy, and we grew it to about $2 million a year. It took us about 8 years to get there, 7.5 years. And then we won all sorts of awards for being one of the fastest growing companies in Canada, which was pretty cool. It was nice for the resume, and it was good social proof for getting customers too. But then the co-founder and I, we started to not see eye to eye, and we ended up having a big fight. And at the end of it all, it came down to some pretty nasty stuff. And fortunately for me, I was the majority owner of the company because I was the guy that started it. And so I sold it to him and the rest of the management team on my terms. And it freed me of that business. And it was a great experience. Because I learned how to build a company, and I learned about systems and processes and creating a culture and hiring people, and it was the best business school that I could have ever been to, and for that I'm eternally grateful. But man, it was hard as heck to make that sucker make any money. I mean, we had lots of revenue and we had lots of recurring revenue, but because at the end of the day it was a service business, the profit margins were not nearly as good as they could be. In a business where you're like software or information products or some type of product where you don't have to have more people on your payroll every time revenue goes up. And I would say that the other thing that was really frustrating about that business, and it was only a byproduct of my own lack of skill set, was because I was a sales guy to begin with, I really knew how to make cold calls. But I didn't know a lot about direct response marketing. I had a nice enough looking website. It was prettier than my competitors, but I wasn't blogging. I wasn't building a list. I wasn't using autoresponders. I wasn't doing webinars. I mean, none of that stuff. And so when I sold it in 2008, I started to learn about all of these online marketing techniques, blogging and list building and webinars and sales funnels and nurturing and all this stuff and podcasting. And now I'm a co-founder of a software company, and we've got a bunch of other stuff in the go. And it's a whole lot more fun, and it's also can be a whole lot more profitable than what I was doing before. So I feel very fortunate to have gone through that whole process, even though there was, and I'm really cutting the story short, it got ugly at the end, and I thought I was going to walk away penniless, and I mean, there was a lot of drama.
Wow. Okay, but you didn't walk away penniless, which was great. You managed to sell your business for quite a tidy sum.
I did.
Which, and you've had your successes along the way, and when you're in business, you won many awards, which you said. So it certainly was a foundation for what you're doing now. Would that be right?
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
Absolutely was.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the things, too, that separated me. I don't really consider myself an internet marketer, to be honest with you. I consider myself a business owner who uses the internet to market very inexpensively and very effectively. I don't like the term internet marketer because it makes me think of guys that sell all those courses of you could get rich quick overnight kind of stuff, and I don't really care for that kind of thing because I don't think there is any get rich quick. So I just want people to understand that you have to build a real business and you have to add real value to real people for anything sustainable.
Sure, and I think that's a good distinction too, Trent. Is it's not that it's us versus them. It's not like there's the brick and mortar business guys, and then there's the internet marketing guys, and there's a huge valley in between us. Internet marketing is just business. It's just another
Correct.
way of doing business. And there are plenty of people in the brick and mortar business that could benefit greatly from, integrating internet marketing into their business. And I know a lot of people do, and they do it very, very well and successfully. And certainly, there are internet marketers who sell get-rich schemes, and really they're just con artists.
Yeah, they are.
That's what it comes down to.
And that's why I started my show and my site, brightideas.co, because I wanted to be able to teach other people who ran businesses, real businesses on the street, how to use online marketing to really, my phrase is to massively boost their business. Because I think if I would have known the stuff that I know now back when I was running my technology services company, it wouldn't have been nearly as hard to get customers, I can promise you. We were making just cold calls back then, and it was horrible.
Mm. Yeah, cold calling is certainly not fun. It's not fun for you, and it's awkward for the person on the other end too, I can imagine. So
don't cold call.
Don't cold call, no. So it puts you in a position where you sound desperate, doesn't it? And you certainly don't have the upper hand as a cold caller.
No.
So you just mentioned, if you knew back then some of the stuff you know now, tell us about that. What sort of things, if you could go back in time, would you take with you that you know now that would be very useful?
Yeah, how long do you want me to talk for? Because I could just be the monologue for the rest of the hour.
Okay.
Let me try and condense it down. The first and most important thing that you need to wrap your mind around is this concept of life cycle marketing. And the lead piece of life cycle marketing is attracting interest. And the way that you attract interest, and the buzzword that people use for it, is called content marketing, which is a fancy way of saying you need to educate your prospective buyers to make them want to become a customer of yours. And so if you're constantly emailing people saying, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, they're just going to unsubscribe, and nobody has any time for that. But if you are building a marketing funnel, or you're starting off with like what I do on my show and probably you on yours, we provide high value educational content that when people consume it, they're like, wow, that was good. I'm going to tell other people about it, number one, because I get a lot of that. I'm sure you do as well. And then other people come and they check this stuff out and they're like, wow, I just learned something and he didn't charge me anything for that. I want to maybe check out a bit more of what this guy's doing. And so they become a regular listener to your show. If you have a show, or if you're blogging, they become a regular reader of your blog, or maybe they join your email list. The byproduct, it doesn't matter how you're communicating with them, what the medium is. The important thing is that you're continually educating them. And in doing so, you're building rapport, trust, and credibility. All the stuff that you had to do when you were a direct sales guy and you're out making sales calls, cold calling is just a really abusive way to try and get your foot in the door to build rapport, trust, and credibility. Blogging, podcasting, video marketing, these are much less painful ways of building rapport, trust, and credibility. So that'd be the first big lesson. If you're not doing that, man, oh man, you need to be.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're very big on podcasting, as I am as well, and for that exact reason, it's a good opportunity to rather than picking up the phone and saying, oh, hey, you don't know me, you've never met me, I don't know you, but, I've got a whiz-bang solution for your business, and, and I need to sell it to you today because I've got to pay my rent kind of thing, as opposed to, what we're doing here, and this model works well in any business, is be an educator. Educate your clients about what services and products you've got that can be of benefit to them, and then they can make the distinction or make the choice to know whether or not you're the right person to do business with. And the reality is, if you're not the right person, it's not going to be a good fit for you, and it's not going to be a good fit for them. So you need to use education as a tool to make sure that you're getting your message in front of the right people.
Absolutely. I agree completely. And I guess a couple things I would add to that is it's actually quite a powerful psychological lever that you can pull to suggest to your prospective customer that you might not be right for them, because it makes you look not desperate, which is the best way actually to attract anyone to want to do business with you. The other thing that I really wanted to talk about is the importance of automation. The content creation process is really the core principle of how you're going to attract your traffic. But if you don't have a way, and ultimately you want to get an email address. That's the only reason I do podcasts and I write blog posts and do anything is because I want to get an email address of the right person, not just any email address. And then once you have that email address, here's where most people really muck it up. And I'm actually doing a blog post, which I haven't hit the publish button on, but it'll be published by the time this interview is live, on exactly this, titled, Are You a Follow-Up Failure? And the reason for that is, back when I didn't understand automation, you'd either find a lead on the cold call or someone would fill out a form on your website and you would email them and you'd say some version of, how can I help you? And they either respond or don't respond, and people are busy, so many times they don't respond. So maybe you'd call and leave a voicemail and you'd say some version of, how can I help you? And another email that would be like some version of, how can I help you? And maybe you would do that 3 times. But if you read the studies, and there's Lead 360 has done some studies that it takes at least 6 attempts, and some other studies I've read had said it takes at least 7 attempts to get through to people, not because they're disinterested, just because they're incredibly busy. Let me give an example. This morning I interviewed an orthodontist who uses the software that I use called Infusionsoft. He was telling me the story. He was at Costco, and this lady walked up to him and she says, "Hey, are you Dustin Burleson?" And he says, "Yeah." She says, "Oh, and he's right away thinking, oh, is this a patient of mine? Because I don't recognize her." And she says, "Well, no, I'm not a patient of yours, but I'm coming in to see you guys tomorrow. I have been getting your emails for the last 11 months. Wow. So do you think that he could have remembered?" And so she came in and became a patient. But do you think that without automation that he could have remembered to continue to follow up with her for 11 months?
No.
Not likely.
He would have given up.
Exactly. He would have given up.
Yeah.
But he was able to take the time to build what's called a sequence or a marketing funnel, whatever terminology you would like to use, that he had to create one time and then just put on autopilot so that everybody who went to the website, the page that she went to, and I think she downloaded a report that addressed the questions that parents would have about getting braces for their kids. Well, if she hadn't have downloaded that report, once she downloads that report, her and everyone else that does, they get this same sequence of emails that go on and on and on. And I could cite example after example like that of people that I've interviewed who've been on my show. And so I guess what I'm really trying to say kind of long-windedly is you want to have automation doing this stuff for you, or you're going to be a follow-up failure because it takes more than 2 or 3 attempts. Back when I was running my old business and we were cold calling, I wouldn't call anybody more than 3 times to get an appointment with them. In fact, most people I called once.
Yeah. well, you give up because you kind of, you think, well, I've called them back, I've left messages, they're not interested. And for whatever reason, and I don't know, and you probably don't know, it takes 6, 7, maybe 8, sometimes 28, we don't know, messages to get through to somebody, because most people, or a very, very small majority of people, are ready to buy and do business with us right now. But there's a huge amount of people, like if we took 100 people and said, okay, I have product X and I want to sell it to you today, and 2 of them will buy it. What about the other 98? Does it mean they'll never buy it? No. It means that those 98 may not be ready to buy. They may just be price shopping, or they may be comparing us with our competitors, or whatever the case is. So we need a system to follow them up. And so you've talked about Infusionsoft, and there's hundreds of products out there that allow us to do this automatically. And as you rightfully said, we have to do it automatically, because if we left it to ourselves or our sales people or our marketing people, it won't get done, because we'll market to people 3 or 4 times, we'll give up, and we'll think they're not ready to buy. And I know in my own businesses, I've had people that have bought from me, 3 years down the track. And they're like, oh, Brent, I've been on your list for 3 years, and I've been watching what you do, and I've been following you, and here's my money, and I'm ready to buy. And I look at them and I think, who is this person? I don't know this person. I look through the list and I think, wow, they joined in 2007. Why has it taken them this long to buy? I don't know, and I don't really care. All I know is that if I hadn't have had a system to keep reminding them of what I'm doing and what sort of products I have available, I would have lost them through the cracks. So now you're a big fan of Infusionsoft, as I am as well. And now there's heaps and heaps of different programs out there: MailChimp, Aweber, GetResponse, Office Autopilot. There's a heap of them. Why Infusionsoft?
Because it's radically different than all the other ones in the heap. And so let me explain that. So all of that, and it's much more expensive too, rightfully so. So you take a MailChimp or a GetResponse or most of the ones that you've mentioned, and they pretty much are designed to do one task, and that is to receive an email address and then send out a sequence of emails to everyone on that list. Bing, 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 bing. And if you're just starting out, that is infinitely better than nothing. However, there's a big problem with that approach, and it's this concept of list segmentation. So you just said not everybody is ready to buy at the same time. I would also add to that not everybody wants to buy the same thing. I have more than one product. You probably have more than one product. Most companies have more than one product. So why would you want to hit everybody at the same time with the same product offer? To me, that's a great way to have to piss people off and to get them to unsubscribe from your list, which is like burning your marketing money. It's just not an effective strategy. So the reason that I like Infusionsoft so much is because, first of all, it's my customer relationship management, my shopping cart software, and my email marketing and marketing automation software all rolled into one. Plus, it's my business management tool. I mean, there's just so many things that I use Infusionsoft for. But in the case of marketing, let's just restrict our conversation to that for the time being. So someone comes and they give me their contact information on a landing page of some kind. So I put up like a free report, or they're going to opt into a webinar, whatever my lead magnet is. They're like, okay, that's a good deal. I'm going to trade my email address to get that free thing that Trent just offered. Sorry, that's my dog running to bark at the postman. Hopefully we're not going to hear that.
No, I didn't hear that.
All right, good. So what happens then is you want to allow your list to segment themselves based upon the direct and indirect questions that you ask them. So let me give an example of what I mean. So on my particular funnel, I have content that is really specific for marketing agencies, and then I have content which is going to be much more interest to the general business owner. So in one of my emails, I say, if you're a marketing agency owner, click this link. If you're a small business owner, click this link. So if you're a marketing agency owner, click this link. If you're a general business owner, click this link. So my marketing funnel, and I actually have three lanes in my marketing funnel. We'll call them 3 highways. Well, I don't want to send everybody down every lane, and I don't want to send the wrong person down the wrong lane, because the content that they're going to receive down that lane of my marketing funnel may not be relevant to them. And so am I building relationship? No, I'm just pissing them off.
Yeah.
And more than likely, they're going to unsubscribe. So Infusionsoft has this thing called tagging. And all tagging is, it's a way of categorizing. It's a way of applying a tag. It'd be like walking around in a room with Post-it notes in your hand and sticking red ones on the forehead of people that were wearing red baseball caps and green ones on the forehead of people who are wearing green baseball caps, because they're different and you want to treat them differently. So with Infusionsoft, every time someone takes an action, they fill out a form or they click a link, any type of action like that allows me to apply a tag to them. And then I can cause automatically additional actions to take place as a result of that tag being applied. So the marketing possibilities that you can do with that are immense. And what it really allows you to do is, on a mass basis, treat everybody like an individual.
Sure.
So if you're on the receiving end, don't you really want to feel like you're being treated like an individual? Well, of course you do. But it's impractical from the business owner's perspective, because if you have too many people, how can you do that? You'd have to have too much staff. It would cost too much money. So Infusionsoft is this great enabler that allows you to say your list can segment themselves based upon the forms they fill out and the links they click, say, this is what I'm interested in, this is how often I want emails, and then you deliver to them what they want so that they can make a buying decision when it is right for them. And it's all happening on autopilot for you. The other programs, they don't do that. You just sign up, and if you wrote it to say, hey, I want this email to go every week, everybody's going to get exactly the same email every week.
Yep. I mean, you can do it manually, but it's time intensive, whereby you can have different forms. And if someone's filled out this form, you put them in this list. If they fill out that form, you put them in that list. Whereas, in Infusionsoft just goes way and above and beyond that, and it has, what they call tripwire marketing, and it's got all the bells and whistles, and it looks after your affiliates and everything as well. So, and as you mentioned, it's a little bit more expensive, but if you're serious about making money online and serious about, I guess, creating good, long-lasting relationships with your clients, then it's a no-brainer, yeah?
I would agree completely.
Yep.
I mean, I can give you an example. Dustin, who I interviewed this morning, he tripled his business in 18 months. Another guy that I interviewed, Scott from Trents with a Z.com. I mean, when he was running 3 retail stores, he went bankrupt.
Wow.
And then he decided, well, I'm going to start trying to sell trains on eBay. And he started that in 1997. And now he's got a $5.5 million business with 28 employees.
Nice.
And the really interesting thing about him, he uses Infusionsoft on the buy side of his business, because most of the inventory that he sells is used. So he's got to find people that, the widow, somebody died and there's a train collection or whatever. These train collections come up, and then he drips on the sellers to get them to sell him their equipment.
Wow.
Before Infusionsoft, spreadsheets and email, and he would lose deals all the time, and it would kill him, because every time he didn't buy somebody's train set, somebody else bought it and somebody else got the deal and he didn't.
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, really, it takes the place of potentially quite a few staff members as well, doesn't it? Keeping you honest and scheduled, because obviously it's got the CRM's also got the built-in calendar and reminders and everything else as well. So, Trent, talk to us about your massive traffic toolkit.
Sure. At Bright Ideas, I interview a lot of people.
Yep.
And I think I'm up to interview number 58 or 59 now, something like that. And so the traffic toolkit is my lead magnet. It's currently one. I'm actually going to be split testing another one against it right now. And it's a compilation of all of the very best traffic generation ideas that have been shared with me by my guests. So who doesn't want more website traffic? So it does a pretty decent job of people. They look at that and they go, yeah, I'll trade my email address for that, because they can opt out if they don't like the stuff. I don't get a whole lot of opt-outs, very, very few. So I guess I'm doing a decent job of educating in my funnel. But that's what the traffic kit is all about. So if you want to get it, just go to brightideas.co and punch in your email address.
Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. If you've got, you've interviewed 58, 60-odd people that are all successful in their own right, and they've got some good ideas or bright ideas, then, why wouldn't you want to condense that and say, well, here, just do this, do X, and get the results. So what have you kind of been doing online that's been successful for you? I mean, I know you really love podcasting and doing the interviews and that kind of thing. You've also got you've been doing a bit of niche marketing and that. How's that been working for you?
Well, that's kind of, I don't do any of the niche. You guys say niche, we say niche. Back when I first started at this, so after I sold my other company, and back then I was so burnt out of having all that staff and all that overhead and all that debt. I wanted nothing to do with a traditional business at all. And so I had met this girl surfing, and she was building all these little affiliate websites that were selling software products. And so I started doing that, and then I discovered Google AdSense. And so I started building all these little websites that made money with Google AdSense. And that was kind of cool. And then I blogged about it, and I had a training course and all that kind of stuff. But then when Panda and Penguin came out in the early part of 2012, as soon as my websites fell off the first page, I pretty much stopped blogging about that stuff, and I took down the sales pages for my course. But it was still a very, very good lesson for me, because I got, I think, like 40 sites on the first page of Google, so some really good results, and I learned how to blog, build a list, and hold webinars, and all that kind of stuff. And so it was a really foundational skill, but I don't really do that anymore. Now, I realized I started my podcast, or I started a podcast back then, and I think I interviewed about 40 people, so I'm somewhere around 100 episodes now. And I discovered a love of podcasting. And so after I had my little pity party that, Google had taken away my gravy train, because it was bringing in quite a bit of money every month. And I was able to, it was largely on autopilot, which was pretty cool. I thought, all right, I need to replicate the really good parts of this business, but I need to not be dependent upon Google. And I need to change who my customer is. Because back then, when I originally started in that business, I didn't plan on having any customers. I just wanted to build these sites for myself. And then I started blogging about it, and people started asking me for training. So that's kind of how I got into the training business. With this business, I thought, I don't want to deal so much. I don't want to make products, software or training products, for people that are necessarily at zero revenue. I want a customer that can afford higher priced products. So, well, who would that be? That would be people who have a small business already, much like I used to be. When my business was doing $1 million a year, all I wanted was to figure out how can I get to $2 million a year. And I would go to conferences. I would cold call other CEOs to network with them. I would buy books and training courses because I had money. I had money to spend, and I wanted desperately to double the size of my business. So I really created Bright Ideas for guys like me, guys who just wanted to get really solid business advice and strategies that they could put to use in a business that they already owned and were already making money.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, I can't agree with you more. I mean, that's why I've got the web marketing show for the exact same reason. It's awesome meeting with and talking with people like yourself who have bring ideas to the table, have had your own journey. You're on your own path as well, and you're learning along the way, and you bring information. And so yeah, it's great fun. But it's a learning exercise, not only for me, obviously for my viewers and your viewers as well. So it's a lot of fun. It's awesome. It is a very, very good model. And I think you also hit the nail on the head by saying you've got to diversify. You can't have all your eggs in one basket. You can't rely on Google to bring all your income, because Google change the rules quite often.
That they do.
With every time they bring out an update, people get slapped. And if they've relying on their sole income from one area of whether it's Google AdSense or in AdWords, I used to build. I didn't used to build. I had a very, very profitable squeeze page. 10 years ago or so. Okay. Which was awesome for capturing leads. But then Google changed the rules about how you could have squeeze pages. and I used to run Google AdWords to bring people to the site, and I spent $250,000 on Google AdWords. And I had a system that worked, and it was great, and that's where I got all my leads. But then they turned around and said, no, we don't want squeeze pages anymore. Bang. And then, a huge proportion of my business dried up because of it. And so I've been a victim of that. You've been a victim of that. But what it teaches us is, look, you need to diversify. Look for other areas and other avenues where you can generate income that's not reliant on just one source.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Google is not your friend. Don't ever think they are. They are not there to help you at all. They are there to help, as they should be, their shareholders. And that's it.
Yep.
The other thing
like
you mentioned,
business.
Yeah, you mentioned diversification. I think that's another really compelling reason to do business online. Like, I have several ways with Bright Ideas that people often ask me, how do I make money with Bright Ideas? So I'll take a moment and explain it. Number one is I'm a owner of a software company. So I make software for my target audience. I also create training products for my target audience. And I'm also an Infusionsoft affiliate. So those are three different ways that I can, to use the term, monetize the traffic that I attract by producing educational content. The other thing so diversification, I think, is a really important thing to do. And one of the great things about being online is you can test and fail really cheaply.
Yes.
And that is a model that, for those of down under, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Silicon Valley. I would imagine you are. That is the mantra in Silicon Valley. Fail cheap and fail fast, because most times your first idea, and this is definitely true for me, sucks. My first idea of being online was to make niche sites and be dependent upon Google for traffic. Well, in hindsight, that sucked. So now I've gotten a little wiser, and that's the great thing about being online is you can create products. Like, well, I had an idea for a mastermind course that I wanted to do. So rather than create the course, I did a webinar and I put up a sales page, and I sold $10,000 worth of something that I hadn't even created yet.
Nice.
And then I created it. But then I created a really awesome version because I knew I'd already sold $10,000 worth of it. The wonderful thing about being online is that you can, what I meant to say, I lost my train of thought there for a second. You can survey people and say, hey, would you buy this?
Yeah.
The best survey in the world is a buy button on the screen.
Yeah.
Because that's how people vote. They vote with their wallet. And in a brick and mortar business, in a physical product business, I wouldn't say it's impossible to do that, but it's a lot harder.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, in a brick and mortar business, if you want to bring a new product in, you can't sort of say, hey, buy this product that I haven't created. It's just an idea, but give me your money. They're not going to do it. They want to see the product. And you've got to sometimes, tie up thousands or tens of thousands of dollars of stock. But it's a lot of fun, and I've done it too, and I've worked with a lot of people that have done it where, basically send out an email to your list and say, hey, here's our new product, blah, 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 sign up here. And if you get a bunch of orders, that drives you and motivates you to stay up day and night building the product, because it's like, well, I know I've got something successful because I've got orders for this product that doesn't exist. I've got money sitting here, checks or in the bank of people saying, yeah, if you had this product, I'd buy it. So. And you can do it very, very quickly, and you can do it very cheaply. So that's one of the big things about the internet. Trent, we're probably running out of time. I did want to talk, briefly about psychology, because I think that's a big thing. It's like there are a lot of people that have great skills, and there's no doubt that there are people out there who could run circles around you and I and a lot of people in terms of technology. They may be web developers, they may be internet marketing type of people, but they're not making any money. And I think there's a big distinction between knowing how to do something and actually going and doing it. And it all comes down to psychology and having having the inspiration is one thing, but actually going through with it and seeing a project through to the end is a different thing. Talk to us a little bit about that.
I'm glad you asked that question, Brent, because it is probably more important than any question that we've talked about so far, to be honest with you. I think that the thing that stands in the way of so many would-be entrepreneurs is fear. They're waiting for the perfect idea. They're waiting for something that won't fail. And years ago, I wrote a blog post, and it's called my green dot theory. And if you'll allow me, I'm going to explain it very briefly because it addresses this so perfectly. So you decide, well, you want to be in business, and you've searched high and low, and you've spent 3 years getting ready, and you're going to go into the business of selling green dots. And once you finally muster up the courage to do this, which very few people do, and at the end of my story, you'll understand the moral of the story. So you go out there and you put up your website and you're starting to sell green dots. And you sell a few, it's okay, but you're not getting rich by any stretch of the imagination. But in your journey to try and become a better green dot vendor, you discover that there's actually a market for blue dots. So you sort of shift your strategy a bit and you start selling blue dots, and now you kind of forget about the green dots. And blue dots, you're doing okay, selling some more, things are getting a little better. And as you're trying to figure out how to get even better and you're getting customer feedback, you realize that actually there's an even bigger demand for red dots. And so then you kind of, you sort of put the blue dots on the side burner and you really start focusing on red dots. And now you're starting to do pretty well. You get a lot more customers, a lot more profits, and more customer feedback. And then you discover black dots and you knock the ball out of the park selling black dots and you ride off into the sunset when you sell your black dot company for $10 million. What's my point? The key is to just start. If you're trying to wait for that perfect idea, it's never going to come until you're actually, the advice that someone gave me years ago was the best way to succeed in business was to be in business. And I thought, well, that was really dumb. I didn't get it. But it wasn't until I was in business that the light bulb went bonk. And I realized, wow, and Bright Ideas has been the same thing. When I started Bright Ideas, I knew I wanted to podcast, and I knew that I wanted to have a market of business owners. I didn't know how I was going to monetize. I didn't know I was going to focus on marketing agencies. I didn't have ideas for the 2 software products. I created a WordPress plugin, and you can get it at Mobi, M-O-B-I, leadmagnet.com. I never would have thought that up. I created a training course called the Best Buyer Formula, which you can sign up for, I think, at onlineincomelab.com. And then this software product that we have in development for agencies to help them publish their clients' content. None of this stuff I would have thought of with a whiteboard. Not in a million years. I am not that smart of a guy. But because I just started, I thought, I'm going to create these interviews and I'm going to kind of focus on marketing automation and Infusionsoft because they were interesting to me.
Sure.
That opened the door. Green dots, red dots, black dots. My point is you have to start. If you don't start, just pick the best idea you can come up with in the next 24 hours, maybe a week, whatever, but not too long, and start. And from that will be your best lessons. If you buy course after course and you read book after book and you never start, you will probably remain an employee for the rest of your life.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. Awesome advice. And, how many people, and probably, possibly you're, sitting at home watching this show thinking, gee, my bookcase is full of books and courses. I've bought hundreds of courses, and we've probably all fallen for this. I've done it. You've done it. Where you're kind of looking for the next, and, the shiny object, I guess. You're chasing the next shiny object. It's like, oh, I'm going to learn how to make money with Google AdWords. Great, that's going to be my thing. Oh, hang on. No, it's Google AdSense. Build niche sites and niche sites, and get AdSense income. Great, that's what I'm going to do. Oh, hang on. No, I'm going to do podcasting.
Yeah.
And you're waiting for all your ducks to line up, and you're waiting for the perfect thing. And what ends up happening is 10 years go by, 5 years turn into 10 years, and it's like, yeah, I really still want to get into that whole internet marketing thing. Whereas the key is just like you said, just do something. 24 hours, 7 days. Think of something that you really want to do. What excites you right now? Because what excites you now may not be what excites you in 2 years down the track. You don't know. Mm-hmm. But at least if you take a chance, do something, start something, it will evolve and it will completely change. I mean, you didn't start out as a podcaster. I didn't start out as a podcaster. You had a brick and mortar business which you sold. I've had businesses which I've sold and I no longer own. But the key is, you've made the transition. You've decided to become successful. You've decided to be in business, and that's why you are where you are today. So I guess the key takeaway from that is just do it. Just do something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
that is the key takeaway. And here's the something that I think people should do: start a podcast. Okay. Because there are approximately 200,000 podcasts in the iTunes store. Compared to, in any given market, millions of websites, getting some market share versus 200,000 versus millions, it's going to be easier. Most podcasts that are in the iTunes store aren't very good. It's super cheap to start one of these things, and then all you have to do is go interview people in a niche. That's it. That's what you do. That's what I do. I have not yet ever done a monologue podcast. I'm probably going to do some soon because I've got enough ideas I want to spread out.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, that would have been horribly intimidating to me. Go on the mic and talk for an hour about what? Like I'd run out of ideas. So what a podcast allows you to do is it's a phenomenal networking tool. You get to build relationships with people in your niche. You get to understand more about the niche. The best way to become an expert at something is to teach it to other people. And as a podcast interviewer, you're not even really teaching. You're just asking questions. And everyone who comes on your show is teaching you and teaching your audience. And from that, I promise you, opportunity, if you look, you will find opportunity versus sitting at home, reading another course or looking for another shiny object. You're not going to make any money right away, but that shouldn't be your immediate goal. I mean, it's all of our goal eventually, and we want to do it as soon as we can, of course. But if you're just getting started, your first thing you want to get is feedback from your audience.
Yeah. And that will move and shape you in the direction that you need to go. You will start to find your feet. You will start to find your niche. You will start to get ideas. I mean, I talk to people all the time, and then all of a sudden, I walk around the day thinking, wow, I could do this and I could do that, and you think of things all the time. But obviously, if you're not doing it, those ideas aren't going to come to you. Trent, it's been great having you on the show. I really appreciate it. You've had some awesome insights, and we look forward to having you back again.
Anytime you like, Brent. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been my privilege.
Awesome. Thanks, Trent. Enjoy the rest of your day.